great. Well, thank you. It's Monday, the 13th of February today, 2023, and I have great pleasure to talk to the legend, the one and only Dave Weiss. Welcome, Dave. It's such an honor to have you on my show. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. And thanks. What are we going to discuss today? Earth is flat. That's a fact.
Yeah, we know that. I mean, the two interviews that jump to my mind is the first one, the two flat earthers and three globies walk into a room, and no globies walk out. It was a brilliant show. It's the most awesome red pilling I've ever seen. And of course, your heartwarming interview with the 104-year-old Ruth. It was very, very touching. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. A lot of people said they had something stuck in their eye after watching that for some reason.
It was very, very touching anyway. Yeah, so I'm quite well into the flat earth theory, Dave, so I won't ask you the most obvious questions. So let's dive into it. We've got an hour's time now, I think. So first of all, for all my viewers, who is Flat Earth Dave, and how and when did you start your flat earth adventure?
You know, I started, I was doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole about the world's deceptions. And people started sending me stuff on flat earth. And I, just like any normal person, delete them and ban them from ever commenting again because they're too stupid. And it wasn't until my good friend Sophia Smallstorm convinced me to look, right? You know, I had blinders on. I'm like, I'm not looking. It's too stupid. It's not worth my time. And then it's only then when you look and try to disprove the flat earth or prove the globe that you become, awake and aware that we don't live on a spinning globe. You know, flat earthers know that we don't know a lot of stuff, but globers think they know everything. And if a glober knew 1/10 of what a flat earther knows about their globe model, they would be flat earthers. Okay. Because that's how you disprove the globe. Just look at the globe model. It's total nonsense.
It's total BS. Yeah, once you're a flat earther, you're always a flat earther. There's no way back.
Yeah,
there's no way back at all. And the globetards, they have not one single proof that the Earth is a globe, but we have a lot of proof or assumptions that the globe that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, they go, you don't have a map, and we do. We have the Gleason's map is the most accurate map. It was in all libraries and schools and encyclopedias, and they removed it in the 1950s. They removed it. Why did they remove it? What's going on there? And then we look at their map. This is a layout of all of the sizes of the continents according to the globe. And the dark is the correct size, and the other, that's what they show us, the light blue. So they don't have a map. We have a map. No pilot brings a globe into the cockpit. They look at a Gleason's map. They look at, a flat Earth map.
Yeah. And why do you think they show Russia so big on the globe map? It's the big enemy.
Yeah, the big enemy. Absolutely. That'll do it. So they have to lie about all of it, because if we knew where we live, they wouldn't be able to control us. That's the problem.
Yeah,
that's absolutely the problem. 100%.
And they're taking us away from the creator as well, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the map that they use for navigation. A lot of flat earthers have come out. I'm not a flat earther, the globers. So like, there's a meme. How did Pearl Harbor happen? Well, first, if you believe the official story on Pearl Harbor, you're sleeping. But this is how it happened. Japan, Hawaii, flat earth map.
Yep.
Right. And, and I getting back to your comment about the creator, if you believe you live on a spinning ball flying through an infinite universe, that separates you from creation, when the truth is we're at the center of creation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And flight patterns, I mean, emergency flight landings, emergency landings, they all reveal a flat Earth and not a globe.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at, think about the globe. You've got the north at the top, the south in the bottom, equator's in the middle.
Mhm.
If you were to take any combination of any two airports in the north, any combination, there's millions and millions and millions of combinations. No flight from one to the other ever goes below the equator, ever. Well, one, it doesn't make sense, and two, none of them do.
Mhm.
But in the south, the same should be the same. The same thing should be the case. A southern location to another southern location, no matter where it is, what combination, you should never go above the equator. Doesn't make any sense. But there's these flights that do Buenos Aires to India. It goes all the way up here and then all the way back down. Why doesn't it just go this way if it's a globe? And but if you look at it on a flat Earth map, it's crossing the equator. It's going into the north. I mean, this is just a ridiculous. This isn't southern to southern. The southern to southerns are even worse, right?
Yeah.
Like, here's another one. Why don't we just go across here? Okay. Well, we go to, we go up here because they have to pick up other passengers. No, that's not it at all. No. And the answer to that explanation is emergency landings. When you look at emergency landings, it makes no sense what they do. Here's one from New York to Auckland. Right here is an emergency. They went to Fiji. Well, that doesn't seem that bad, but why didn't they go there? And the answer is because Fiji is right on their flight path.
Yeah.
Right. Fiji's right on their flight path.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Here's one. The emergency landing in Alaska. Right. Well, Alaska is right there on the flight path. Yeah. This is the map they show on the seat back. This is where you look at it. If you're tracking it, that's where they have you going. And they land there. Chicago to Doha. They landed in Moscow. Mm-hmm. And they got there in an impossible amount of time. This is like over 1,000 miles away. They got there in like 15 minutes. Yeah. How do you go 1,000 miles in 15 minutes? It's because Moscow is right there on their flight path.
Yeah. I mean, could you... Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Can you explain the difference in flight time, traveling from east to west or from west to east? Is it curves or speed difference or jet stream, or is it to do with the so-called Coriolis effect?
Well, it all has to do with air currents and speed. So the analogy I give, if you and I are in a car, and let's say we're going to drive across the United States, and we're both leaving from New York, and you're going to California, but I'm only going to Kansas, halfway across. Okay, but you got there before me. How did that happen? Mm-hmm. How did you get to California before me?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Can you explain?
I can't.
You're driving faster than I am.
Okay.
Right. So some of these flight times, they're just flying the plane faster. They want you to think that the speed of sound is a barrier. It's not a barrier. Planes could go faster than sound, no problem. And the passengers would never know it. Pilot may not ever know it. They could lie to the pilot. But then they get into these air currents also, where they're flying. They're flying, in 40,000 feet. There's certain air currents that'll speed you up, give you a tailwind, 200, 300 miles an hour. The plane's flying a little faster than they tell you. That explains these trips 100%.
Yeah. There's even more pilots coming out. They've all signed an NDA, of course. There's still more pilots coming out and saying, well, the Earth is it's flat. There's no globe, there's no curvature, there's nothing.
Well, it's not that they signed an NDA. It's maybe some of them have, but the Qantas pilots have told us that they all know it's flat. Most long distance pilots know it's flat, but they got a well-paying job. They like their job, and they have a family and a mortgage, and they have to support all this stuff, so they don't say anything.
Yeah,
we interviewed on Globebusters a KLM pilot, and next day she was grounded and fired. I think she was fired, but she was grounded for sure.
Yeah. I think I've contacted her for an interview as well, because she was quite revealing about this flat Earth thing. Something else, Dave, I'd like to ask you. What are the sun and the moon actually? Is it plasma?
Got me. I think the sun that we see is an apparent sun. I don't know what it is. You know, if you listen to the great Eric Dollard, he says that the sun is a transformer from another dimension. Okay. That's a good explanation to me. My mind is not able to wrap I'm not able to wrap my mind around that. But being a burning gas ball 93 million miles away, lighting up the earth, causing seasons, that's absolute insanity. A much better explanation is a transformer from another dimension. Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. The sunlight is electricity. So is the sky, the daylight, as we know it, is it the fluorescing of the different noble gases in the atmosphere, do you think?
Yeah, so day and night is a great one, and people there's a difference between daylight and sunlight, and so people say, oh, the killer in Antarctica 24-hour sun. Well, there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. A bunch of fake videos, obviously fake, but there is 24 hours of day. So the sun lights up an area of the sky as far as its electricity reaches, and it fluoresces the gases, the dome, whatever, nitrogen fluoresces blue, and that's the most of the gas in the sky is nitrogen. That's daylight, right? So if you don't believe me, go outside your house before the sun rises. So the sun is over the curve of the earth. If you believe you live on a globe, go to the west side of your house and read the newspaper. What are you reading? The sun hasn't even come up yet, and you're reading the newspaper because it's daylight.
Yeah.
Sunlight is when the sun comes up and adds to that daylight. Yeah. Okay. If there was no daylight and just the sun, everything would look like the Blair Witch Project. Okay. It would be crazy, right? Talk to a photographer. They have the main flashlight, the flash bulb, and they have the daylight, the other lights.
And do you think does the sun rise and set faster in the southern hemisphere? So according to the flat Earth theory, the days should be generally shorter, daylight, and the appearance and disappearance of the sun should go faster in the southern hemisphere. So in Southern America, Southern Africa, and New Zealand, Australia, it should move quicker, the sun.
So if you look at the sun, here's the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. This inner yellow line, June 21st, Tropic of Cancer, the sun follows that line around. So all of the inner northern land has its summer because the sun is closer. This outer yellow line on December 21st, sun's out there. That's when the southern summer is. Right now, if you notice, this hour hand, it only goes around once a day. So no matter where the sun is, it only goes around once a day. So this inner circle is a much shorter distance than the outer circle. So yes, it is going faster. Okay. And there are certain times of the year in certain places, and also depends on the topography. If you have mountains and stuff, in the distance, it'll take the sun's light away much quicker. Okay. Because the sun's local. So there's places in the South where when the sun sets, 5 minutes later, it's pitch black, right? But then 6 months later, which should be the equal for the inner north at an equal latitude, the sun sets and it's light for 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's because the sun is moving slower and it's taking its daylight with it slower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think they've always hidden the North Pole for us? I mean, it's we know it as Hyperborea, Rubus Nigra, the Garden of Eden, Mount Meru. What's up there? And is there a possible vortex at the North Pole, do you think?
I don't know, but they're hiding the two places that will teach us about the Earth, right? Yeah. The North Pole and the South Pole. So here's something everybody could do. Go on googleearth.com and take out the measuring tool, and you can measure the square area of the square miles of the United States. Let's go down and do Australia in the Southern Hemisphere. and you measure it, and it'll give you the square miles, right?
Mhm.
Pretty handy tool. Now let's measure Antarctica, the one place that could tell us what's going on in the world. Have you seen this? What this does?
No, not yet.
So, and anybody can do this, and eventually they're going to fix it. So check it out now, screen record it, and look at that.
Mm.
What's that? It won't even let us measure it. The only place, and the same thing in the north. Okay. And that's because this doesn't exist. This is the shoreline of our world, right? The shoreline of our world.
Yeah, I think you can even see parts of Southern America and Australia. Shapes are fitted into this fake Antarctica map.
It's pretty interesting, Again, but until we can go there, we don't know what's beyond 60 degrees south. The southern oceans are off limits, bigger than all of the other oceans combined, if you ask me. And it's off limits to the whole world, and it's guarded by 7 or 8 military islands. Sorry, something's going on there.
Yeah,
it's the shoreline of our world, right? And what they've done is they've literally cut out, if you cut out between the green and the white, and then they wrap it around a globe, and say, oh, this is where you live. Yep. Okay. And they've literally disconnected us from the rest of the realm, right? If you believe this is where you live, this is the problem, all right? You don't live there.
Yeah, it's the first thing you get
live on a flat realm.
It's the first thing you get pushed into your hand when you go to kindergarten is a globe.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, the flat Earth is the biggest lie that's been perpetrated on mankind, Dave. The CIA and the army and the government have been speaking of a flat, stationary, non-rotating Earth in declassified documents. So when do you think this flat Earth will be revealed to the public?
It's being revealed right now on your show.
Yeah, I know.
There's millions of people waking up on my app. Do you have my app?
Yeah, I do.
The Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. If you go to the FriendFinder and you look at the world view, when you say when is this being revealed, it's being revealed right now. People are waking up by the droves. It takes a second to load here. I have some copy in it, and my green screen is not going to work so well. So I look like Terminator today. But here is the people that just have the FriendFinder in the UK. Yeah. Look at this. That's right. Great. When you say when is it going to be revealed, let's see if we can even see the United States. Oh, look. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So the way to wake up the world is to relentlessly put truth in front of them. People don't want to wake up. People are sleeping. People, it's uncomfortable because people don't realize that they, it takes work. It takes effort to reprogram yourself, right? To actually look at stuff. But when you do, it frees you from the heliocentric matrix. It frees you from the prison of your mind. It lets you have the opportunity to become your full potential. That's what the elite don't want. They don't want you knowing your true power. They don't want you knowing that nobody has control over you. They don't want you knowing that the only control people have is in your imagination. They don't want you knowing that there's more land, more resources, more everything, more hidden technology. They don't want you knowing any of that, because if you did, you'd be harder to control than you would be uncontrollable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the government must admit it sooner or later. I mean, the NASA is, how many taxpayers' dollars is the NASA is slurping up now? It's 69 million a day or something. I mean, when people find out, they will go crazy.
It's over 80 million a day now. $80 million a day they give to NASA.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, when
$80
people
million
find out,
a day.
It will go crazy when people find out what's happening with their tax dollars.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. Can you, Dave? Can you explain lunar and solar eclipses, and why isn't, for instance, the moon always visible?
Well, so if you believe that the Earth is casting a shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse, then you're fully indoctrinated, and you'll have a hard time understanding what an eclipse really is. But there's a Seleninian eclipses where you can see the moon and the sun above the opposite horizons at the same time, which would eliminate the Earth being in the middle.
Yep.
And also the shadow comes in on, this is a solar eclipse, but the shadow comes in on the moon from the top, where it should be coming in from the bottom. Okay, so that rules out the Earth being the cause, and I don't think that's actually a shadow on the moon. But the solar eclipses are actually more interesting to me, right? We never see the moon approach, eclipse, or exit the face of the sun. And if we look at some real pictures, not the nonsense NASA shows you, right? You're not seeing the moon, you're imagining the moon. What you're seeing is the sky matching the sky around it. You're seeing the sky. Look, it's actual what the sky looks like around it, right? It's not, you don't see a moon. We should be able to zoom in when there's a full eclipse with some type of camera and see the moon, but no one's ever seen the moon. Okay, it's just the sky. It's just the sky. It's just the sky, right? Look at that. It's just the sky. Where's the moon? Well, you think you're seeing the moon. So let me show you what what's this one? So this is just a video that I took, right? Again, it's just part of the sun is missing, right? So this is an experiment that I did. Okay, here's an actual eclipse I filmed, and here's an eclipse that I made. And I contend that we're seeing a projected light. So here's a film of an actual eclipse. Okay, it's like 90% eclipse, somewhere around there. It's about that much eclipse, but we notice these two things. Like, what are these? What they look like mini eclipses. This is eclipse. It's just blowing out the lens, so we can't see it. If I dim the aperture, you can see it. This is the lens flare because it's moving around. This one is locked in position to the sun. So what is it? And I contend this is the real sun, the real eclipse that's being projected into our sky screen. So what's an experiment I can do to simulate that? So I took a paper towel and I projected a light from behind, and then I eclipsed it, which I'll show you right here. So I'm eclipsing it with a cap from a iced tea. And you can't see the cap. So here it is. This is the sky that we see. You don't see anything, but this is what's really going on behind it. So the moon is going in front of the sun, behind the sun that we see, right? You don't see the moon. You just see the eclipse. Look, it's paper towel here. It's paper towel here. So it's just like the eclipse. It's showing you the sky, right? So here it is with a thinner, more transparent sky. And look, here's the source. There's the source. That's the eclipse that we see. Comparing it to the actual eclipse, and what do we get? We're seeing the same thing. Yeah. So that's my explanation of how it goes. Prove me wrong, right? We can prove that the official explanation of eclipses is nonsense, provable. Here's an actual explanation that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, well, people will still always argue, oh, I saw the moon come in front of the sun, and the moon went away again. And
nobody ever saw the moon. Nobody ever saw it. This is what you saw.
It's unbelievable. And how high do you think, Dave, are the sun and the moon? How the altitude above the flat Earth? How high do you think it is?
That is a great question, and the Globers and the flat earthers will throw out there 3,000 miles and 31 miles wide because the math works, but you can also make it 15 miles wide and 1,500 miles, and it would look the same, and you can cut that in half, you can cut that in half. So it could be anything. My personal observation is the sun that we see, I think we see it rising less than 100 miles away. And therefore, it sets less than 100 miles away. Therefore, it travels only less than 200 miles during the day. The sun that we see, that's the sun that we see. And you have to understand how we see the sky, right? So we have what's called a personal atmospheric dome, right? This is the actual sun, and this is how we see it within our realm. Real sun, source sun, the apparent sun that we see. And as it goes away, it just goes down and sets. And there's all sorts of experiments that we can do to kind of simulate that. Here's just this is a reflection thing. So you got all these personal domes. Imagine a person inside of each one, East Coast, West Coast, right? So it's nighttime here and it's afternoon here. And if you watch this is the point where each person sees the sun. So it's noon there. Now it's noon here. Now it's noon here, right? And it moves over. So this is afternoon. This is morning. This is noon, right? That's how we see the sun and the time zones. So here's a little a physical experiment. I got a glass dome on top of a white rug, and I'm just moving a light across above it. You can't see it, but the apparent sun. And when you look in this, it really looks like a little sun. It's amazing, right? And it just goes away, and it never goes below. It just goes to there, and it fades out. It just fades away. Okay. And when I bring it back, it does the same thing. It just appears on the horizon, rises just like we see it, sets, and then sets over the other side.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Amazing.
And this is, this is some different points of view on how we see the sun on a flat Earth. Is with our personal atmospheric dome. Pretty interesting stuff.
If you'd go high enough in a high altitude balloon, you could see the sun for far longer.
Well, the higher you go, the farther you can see. And there's been some flights that the pilots have seen the sun, where it never sets. They're just cutting across the north, and the sun goes around, and it never sets. I have a video on that. It's gonna take me a moment to find it. So what else you got?
There's also a few videos kicking around of the sun in the clouds.
Yeah. So again, thinking about the apparent sun, where we are, the sun could appear under certain conditions in the clouds, right? Yeah. And that from a heliocentric point of view, that sounds absolutely insane. But in reality, is this sun 93 million miles away? How does this happen? I can't fully explain it, but it's how we see the world. Yeah. It's how we see the world.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Could the height of the sun and the moon easily be calculated by the theory of Pythagoras, do you think?
No, you can't, because you need 3 points. And the problem is the second observer looking at the sun sees the sun in a different position.
Yeah.
So you can't calculate it. You can't triangulate it because you're seeing it in different positions.
Okay.
When you're driving down the road, the moon, the sun, it follows you. Yeah. Well, you're seeing it in a different position. So somebody else, would see it in a completely different position. Here, I'll show you a quick example with my rear projection sun. Excuse me. Where is it? Optics. Here we go. So here is a room. I have a blue sheet dividing the room in half. I got a square light, which looks round, on the about 10 feet on the other side here. And I have my girlfriend on the left here, and I say, where do you see the sun? Right. And I go over to her point of view. She sees the sun right there. So if I put an X on the material right there, she sees the sun over there. I see it over here at the same time. We can't triangulate that because we're looking at an apparent position of the sun. Right. At the same time, we're both seeing the same sun in 2 different positions in the sky sheet.
I was thinking,
so you can't triangulate that.
If there was somebody, for instance, in Australia, and they had the sun right above them, and they were calling with somebody in Europe, for instance, and they see the sun there, and you've got the sun here, and you've got the angle between the person in Europe, you'd have this triangle. You might be
but you're looking at 2 different positions. It doesn't work for either. Okay. Right? You can do all sorts of crazy, ridiculous math. But it's hard for people to understand how we actually see. Like, we can do math to describe anything, but if we're wrong about what we're seeing, then what good is that math? For example, so I have this. So let me just pull this up. All right. So We got three lines here: yellow, orange, and red. What can we say about those lines? What do you say? Are they the same length?
The same length?
Probably. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Which one's the highest one? Which one is the highest one?
I would say the yellow one.
Okay. And compared to the orange one, which is in the middle, how much higher is the yellow one than the red one is lower than the orange? If we say the orange, the yellow line is 1x higher than the orange, we can say that the red one is maybe 2x lower, just averaging. Okay. So now we have, 2x, negative 2x equals red, and we can make all of these crazy equations. All right. So then we look at this, we say, okay, which one's the longest one? Well, the red one's the longest one. We could say the yellow is, 4x, four times y, equals red, 2 times yellow equals orange. We can make all sorts of formulas up. But the question is, what are we seeing? Okay. Yeah. This plant here is 5 feet above this deck. This deck here, which is level, is 10 feet above the beach.
Yeah.
This is sea level.
Yeah.
So this line is 15 feet higher than this line.
Yeah.
This is 5 feet higher than this line.
It's perspective. Okay.
Yeah. And if we look, this is probably, 15, 20 miles. This is probably 15, 20 feet. And this is maybe 6 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. So unless you can touch it and measure it, you can't say anything else about it. The lights in the sky, we don't know how far they are. We don't know how big they are. We don't know what they are. The only thing we can say is that they're lights in the sky.
Yeah, yeah. Talking of sky, what's above the firmament? Is it like it's depicted in Genesis? Does the firmament protect us from the waters above? And are all? I mean, are you familiar with Nos Confunden there, Dave?
Oh yeah, that's the ponds map.
Yeah.
So again, anything above as high as we can get, or anything beyond as far as we can get south, which is 60 degrees south, or if you're lucky, you can get a guided tour of, Deception Island off of Antarctica, and they'll tell you, whoa, what are you sharing me?
This is Nos Confunden. This is the Nos Confunden map.
Yeah. So, we could live in the center of this, one of those ponds, right? I was just going to pull it up on my app. If you go to the images and you scroll down, here's the map. Yeah. Okay. And if we live here, in the center of this right here, right? This could be our pond, right? These are extra territories, extraterrestrials. And then out here, these are other pieces of the plane, a planet. Okay. A piece of the plane, a planet. And these could be all other worlds here beyond Antarctica, right here, right? Disclosure is here. It's on Earth, right? All of these people out there that are thinking that, disclosure is so far away, not in our lifetime. No, it's right here. It's right here now, right? So that is an amazing map. Have you read their book? You go to the book section. Have you read The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall?
That's what I just want to ask you. The William Morris story. Is it a novel or is it true story?
I don't know, man. It seems it rings true to me. And he's got 3 books. I just finished the 3rd one. They're phenomenal. But what they do is basically it's the story of Star Wars. I don't know what happened to my lighting here. There we go. I'm back, sort of. I'm probably going to disappear because I'm not in my studio and the sun's coming up behind me, but that's all right. It basically, you think about Star Wars, they're traveling between these worlds. Some are hostile. There's neutral zone, or maybe that's Star Trek. There's, the Galactic Federation, and there's peaceful lands. And then, Luke Skywalker is traveling around, and he has the Force. Obi-Wan says we all have the Force within us, right? Well, in the book, it talks about traveling in between all of these different ponds, right? Traveling in between these different worlds, which can be called planets, pieces of the plane.
Yep.
And there's hostile lands, there's non-hostile lands. And one thing it says is that all human beings have a connection to the source, which gives them great power. The source, the force, the Galactic Federation is just the custodians of our realm, right? Yeah. This is scientifically possible in our flat Earth world, and heliocentric space is scientifically impossible in the globalist made up heliocentric world that we've all been indoctrinated into believing and fighting for.
Yeah. So these 177 different or other worlds, that's really outer space.
The outer space. Outer space is south, right? When we head away from the center, we're heading south. South is that way. South is that way, and that way. South is every way. Every straight line goes south. Because if you point north, as soon as you pass the North Pole, you're going south. Okay. Yeah. East and west are circles, you know that. But if you go south, you'll end up heading to the edge of a pond. You don't fall off in outer space. You step up if there's land there, and you go, and maybe you find another pond.
Yeah. There is a old world map. I'll try and bring it up now, Dave. There's an old world map, and it shows the Antarctic wall, but there is no ice. So my question is, look here, you probably know this map.
Yeah.
And there's no ice on the Antarctic ring. Do you think the Antarctic ring was created by man?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's part of the cycle. Maybe, we have these worlds that these cycles that change, right? And if you look at the Prague clock, right, it shows that we have a great year of 26,000 years, and our realm moves around the greater Earth. Okay. It moves around the greater Earth. I'm trying to find actually I have it on the app right here.
And that creates natural climate change, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The whole climate change thing is ridiculous. I think it's on here somewhere. So the Prague clock, if you actually look at it, is they don't make stuff like that anymore. Mm-hmm. It's mind-blowing. It should have been right here. I had it somewhere, but it's in here. Oh, here it is. So there it is. Make it a little bigger.
Okay.
If I go here. So, we live in that green area. The outer circle would be what we call the edge of Antarctica, and that moves around the red circle. So our North Pole migrates around that red circle every, I think it's 26,000 years. So in 12, 13,000 years from now, that green area would be the opposite side. And maybe that's why they're finding stuff under the ice.
And this is really the map on the moon, huh?
Well, you know what? There is a lot of correlation there. There's more to be researched. That the person that did the correlation, there's a lot of points that correlate. There's also a few leaps of faith, but I look at it like, well, maybe it's not exact. Maybe it's when the water levels were higher or lower, maybe, and then everything changes. So there is some correlation, if you ask me. Definitely needs more investigation, but to claim that is an exact depiction of the Earth the way it is now, I don't know.
No, because Iwaran does a lot of research on this as well, huh? On this,
Iwar did, map. And then there's a what's the name of the channel? I forget the name of the channel, but there's some good people doing research on there. Watch this stuff, analyze it, add to it. We flat earthers realize that we don't know lots of things. Globers think they know everything. They know nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Stars are luminaries, Dave, huh? And planets are called so-called wandering stars. Are the stars fixed and revolve anti-clockwise around Polaris, as we know? But more than likely, the stars are fixed energy points in the firmament. So the stars are fixed positions, but how can the movement of so-called planets be explained? Are the so-called planets a kind of plasma within the firmament, or are they also fixed in the firmament? So does the firmament rotate?
Well, they're called they're called wandering stars.
Yeah.
Right. All the planets used to be called wandering stars, and they're all named after gods.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what is going on there? I don't know. There are lights here within our realm. Okay. If you look at Mars is not a dusty, dirty ball. It's a pulsing orb of energy that's here within our system.
It looks like water, really, doesn't it? It looks like water.
Well, it certainly does. I think NASA always loves telling us the truth in their backwards ways. So they use ships and the Sea of Tranquility, and they're docking, and they're always all nautical terms. So they're telling us something. Mm-hmm. I believe that it's called the revelation of the method. They always have to tell us the truth in some way. And if we're too stupid or too lazy to use our God-given common sense to discern, then that's our own fault.
It's satanic law, really. They have to show us. They have to show us.
Yeah.
They have to show us, yeah.
Right.
Could you explain the tides, Dave? How the tides work? Apparently, we have these tides twice a day. And are the tides in the southern hemisphere like in the northern hemisphere? I believe the tides in the northern hemisphere are far heavier than the tides in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions like what is causing the tides. Perhaps the Earth is inhaling and exhaling twice a day, right? They have a high tide and a low tide twice a day. Makes a lot of sense. There's 30-foot tides in Alaska, and there's no tides at the Maldives, which are only a foot or two above the water. Right? Yeah. The Earth was spinning. All of the water would accumulate at the equator. Right? Neil deGrasse Tyson says that there's a bulge of water 14 miles high. Like what? Right, a bulge of water 14 miles high. When does an airplane triple its height just to skim over that bulge? Yeah. When they're heading from north to south? Right, yeah. All nonsense. But it's these concepts are so big that anyone that went to school was brainwashed into not thinking. They were brainwashed into memorizing, trusting, and regurgitating. Yeah. So they tell us that the moon pulls the water. Well, if the moon's pulling the water, how come a new moon doesn't pull it just as much as a full moon? The moon's still there. It's just a different amount of sunlight on it. That shouldn't affect it. And, and if it's pulling the water, wouldn't it pull the water away from the shoreline?
The lakes,
bulging the water out in the middle of the ocean, it would cause a low tide, not a high tide.
And the lakes as well.
Okay. And why wouldn't it pull on lakes? And, it's absolute insanity. If you look at the ocean, look at the tides. There's tidal nodes everywhere, and that's where there's no tide. Okay, and then the high tides circle around those tidal nodes. That doesn't sound like the moon, right? And the official story on the moon is so friggin' stupid, right? There's a high tide here, and there's a high tide here. Like if my head was the moon, it's causing the high tide. Yeah, but because my head is because my moon head is pulling the water away from the Earth, but the water on the other side is so far away, and the Earth is blocking it that my moon head is pulling the Earth away from the water, causing another high tide. Okay, now if I told you that, you would say this guy's friggin' nuts. No, that's the official story. That's the official story, and then the Earth rotates within that bulge.
Yeah.
Well, that's easier to remember. That's easier to go, okay, I'm going to go lay on the hammock and take a nap rather than let me verify this. Let me look at where tides happen, and let me look at the data, and let me look at the observations, and let me realize that none of that is true. Right. But it's so much easier to take a nap on the hammock.
I mean, if the globe was spinning, like they tell us, 44,000 kilometers circumference, and at the equator, it's the Earth is traveling more than Mach 1. I mean, the rivers would go uphill.
Right. They want us to believe that we're corkscrewing through space, traveling at, unbelievable speeds, spinning 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting 66. Yeah. 66,000, chasing the sun at 500,000. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And then we compare that to the hypersonic sled track. Mm-hmm. This is going by at 1/10 of the speed of the orbit and 1/100th of the speed. So you have to believe that we're going 10 times faster than this around the sun, and 100 times faster chasing the sun, all curved trajectories, speeding up and slowing down, right? Not in a straight line like an airplane when you're drinking your water. If you want to compare an airplane just to the spin of the Earth, you have to remove the outside of the airplane. You have to double the height, and you have to nose down as fast as a skydiver just to follow the curve. Okay, and then let me know how your water's doing. Right. But then you look into reality. This is what we see in reality.
Yeah. It's unbelievable how they can keep up this lie for so long. I mean,
well, the best way to wake up the world is to relentlessly have the courage to stick the truth in their face. No matter, as long as you're telling the truth. And the truth could be, I don't know. The truth could be, it doesn't work on a heliocentric ball. The truth could be, we can see too far. The truth could be, water at rest lays flat. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. As long as you put that in and people start to think, then they'll wake up if they're not too fluoridated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, the moon shows us the months, Dave. I mean, there should be 13 months of 28 days. If you look at the woman's period, it's all based on the moon. The moon and sun are a clock. You just refer to your app that people can download, and there's if you multiply 13 by 28, you get 364. There's one extra day. It's the day of resurrection of the Son of Jesus Christ. So why do you think they changed these months to 30 days, 31, 31, 30, and then 120 month of 28 days, which is, of course, every 4 years we get February 29. Why did they do this? Is it to bring the woman out of her her divine power, or what is it? What's going on here?
They don't want people understanding, the true cycle. They want to throw us off kilter, and twice a year, they change the time in most places by an hour just to throw you off kilter more, right? We are part of this living system. Everything here on Earth is alive. We're alive. The lights in the sky are part of that living system, right? Mm-hmm. Well, people are like, oh, I don't get it. Well, you've been programmed not to get it, okay? You've been programmed to believe that you're pond scum that turned into a monkey that turned into a human. Okay. You've been programmed to believe a lot of nonsense, and it's easier to believe than to know. Belief is the enemy of knowing, as Crow 777 Radio says. And, it's fascinating. And it's, one thing all flat earthers have in common is none of us are ever bored. Okay. You ever been bored? Have you been bored since you discovered flat earth? It is nonstop, mind blown every day, all sorts of new information. And, and people are like, there's no flat earthers, right? There's no flat earthers. Here's the United States. These are the people that have the FriendFinder on my app. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they're everywhere. Look at this. The UK, bam.
I'm somewhere on there. I'm in the Netherlands. I'm in the Netherlands. I'm somewhere on there as well.
Yeah, you're in there. Yeah, so let's look at a live that's his live view, but let's whoops, that's not what I wanted. So Netherlands, right? Netherlands. So let's look at the Netherlands. How we doing? Let it load. And these are the people that are near you. Let's taking a second to load here. Whoa, that's why it took so long. Look at all those people, right? And the beautiful thing is, the big thing people say, oh, flat earther, I can't talk to anyone about it. That's like, I wish I had somebody close. Well, you can find someone close, tap on their dot, look at their profile, send them a message. You can even set your radius. Mine set to 50 kilometers. It's 50 kilometers where I am, and there's only 31 people. There would be hundreds in your area. And you could send a message out like, hey, we're having a get together at Joe's pub at 4 p.m. Saturday, right. And then all these blue dot people show up, and I've never met a blue dot I don't like.
No, okay. Great.
All of these people, awake, unaware, people are using it to find jobs, find new friends, find new significant others. It is an amazing thing because every dot on here, every single dot, male or female, you have more in common with that person than any dating site, job matching site, anything ever, right? So if you're looking to hire somebody, send a radius message out or check some people's profiles out and see if they're interested in work opportunities and send them a message. Guaranteed it's a better candidate than anyone else that you'll find anywhere, okay? Because, flat earthers, we don't want to deal with globers, right? I'll take a flat earther and I know that this person can learn new stuff, can do the job properly. It's an amazing tool to bring us together, and it's growing super fast. So
absolutely, yeah, it's awesome. It's really awesome. Yeah, it's unbelievable, Dave. Satellites. Finally, satellites. They don't exist like they've told us. It's all submarine fiber cable. I mean, NASA's the biggest consumer of helium in the world, and we've seen these balloons travel over America and Canada and Southern America. Do satelloons, I'll call them satelloons, do they stick to the firmament, or what do they do?
Well, they definitely crash into the ground a lot, all over the place. So, and this whole nonsense here in the United States with a Chinese spy balloon going by, it's either one of two things. And I think it's the second. The first is it's a NASA satelloon that just got low and somebody can see it. But one thing for sure is it's not from China because it can't. This is the wrong type of balloon. All right, flat earthers have a lot of experience with balloons. This is the wrong type of balloon. It can't reach the altitude that they're saying, and it can't travel the distance that they're saying. So they're lying, right? People are like, it's a space station. It's how they fake the space station. No, it's not. Okay. There's something on here, whether this could be a total distraction just to get our minds away from other more important things.
Absolutely.
But they're crashing all over the place, and people are like, well, what about GPS? GPS. Well, GPS is the ground positioning system. Think about this, right? This is how it works for those of you that don't know. You have a person, there's 3 towers, right? First tower sends out a pulse and says, hey, this person is somewhere on this circle, not within, actually on the circle, but doesn't know where. Okay. And then the next one sends out a pulse and it says, combines the data and says, this person is either here or here. And then the third one sends out a pulse and it says, this person is right here. Mm-hmm. These are from stationary towers. Okay. You have to believe that this ball is corkscrewing through space, spinning and whirling and twirling in all these different directions. All of these satellites are maintaining their position over the same piece of land. So it's got to mimic all of those changes in speeds and angles and spiraling and stay there, and then sending a signal that can locate somebody within a couple of feet where they are. I'm sorry, that's nonsense.
I mean,
complete and total nonsense.
If you're in the desert, you have no connection. That says it all, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When do you think we'll be going back to the moon?
What's that?
Dave. Sorry, Dave.
No, in the southern oceans, there's no GPS, but there are these buoys that are sending out signals that make a grid that if you go past 60 degrees south, they're going to find you and they're going to stop you.
Yeah.
God forbid you went to the ice, and disturbed the penguins.
Yeah. When do you think we'll be going back to the moon, Dave?
Oh, it's coming soon. We're going to have tourism on the moon. You're going to be able to get a hotel on the moon. It's going to be phenomenal, right? But, I'd say if you don't know the Earth is flat, it's because you've really been deceived and probably haven't done much research. But if you think we went to the moon, you're just lazy because it's too easy to it's too easy to look. If you Google moon landing hoax, you're gonna get fed everything they want you to see. You have to believe we went to the moon in this. Look, this paper mache, tin foil, curtain rods, duct tape. Look at this. Right? There's two grown men in this thing. Please, right?
And they forgot the cameraman as well. They forgot the cameraman when it took
the cameraman, especially on the landing. And here's the moon buggy, right? Was it $50 million? That's an umbrella. Look, it's an umbrella. It's a upside down umbrella or an inside down umbrella. And they talked to Nixon, right? Look at this, beach chairs. These are beach chairs. Look, they're friggin' beach chairs. It's so ridiculous.
Taking the Mickey out of it.
Right.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
So it's so stupid.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, Buzz Aldrin.
In 1972, we built this, and then in 1964 we built this.
Yeah.
Okay.
They lost all the technology.
Yeah, it's a painful process to build it back again.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. Anyway, Dave, I think we've nearly fulfilled the hour now.
Well, that was fast. Hey, you can find anyone, I don't know what your audience is. Are they all flat earthers or you got some globalists in there?
I have a Telegram channel. It's nearly 11,000 subscribers. And
Beautiful.
the most of them are all flat earthers. Yeah. They're looking forward to this. They're looking forward to this.
So let me just tell you guys about the app. A lot of you probably already have it. The app's $3. You get everything except you can't send messages, use profiles, and there's a couple other premium features that are coming, like the app trivia game is coming out. It's going to be amazing. Those you have to be a subscriber. The subscription is $11 a year. Okay, $11 a year to help pay for the server costs because they're astronomical. $11 a year, and if you don't want to pay the $11 a year, you can just use the referral system. And if you get 11 referrals, the subscription is free, right? And if you go into the FriendFinder and go right here to this button, that'll show you your status. And I have 19 referrals here. And this is my referral number. You get a random number, but there'll be a little pencil right there. And you can change it once. Make sure you pick something up to 7 characters one time. You only get to change it once, right? So anytime anyone downloads the app, I say, hey, put in referral code DITRH. I don't say it too much, but other people do. And then it'll show up on my app. So if you tell someone about the app, they do it, bam, you get a little animation, tells you got a point. And after you get 11 points, you can trade them in for the subscription. If I hit the leaderboard button, right? Now, don't think that you're going to be number one because you'll never be number one because Caleb, a TikToker, he's got 1,952 referrals. But Flat Earth Rico podcast, he's at 93. That's the next highest one. So these are the top 100 people referring. So kind of fun to get on there and just have some fun with it.
Yeah, great. Dave, any final thoughts for my viewers?
Don't believe anything I say. Go verify it yourself. But you guys, since you're all flat earthers, you've been doing that for a long time. And wake up your friends and family. Gift the app to them. Tell them about it. Get them to get it. And just say, hey, this guy is giving out 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. All we have to do is watch the daily video each day for 2 weeks. So just say, how about this? Treat it like a book club. Let's watch the video, short ones during the week, and say, let's just discuss it when we get together for a beer. We'll discuss the daily video and do that for 2 weeks. And then you'll have a new flat earth friend. Right.
3 Bitcoins.
And tell them, hey, we'll split the Bitcoins. Okay. Yeah. Help me prove the globe. And that's how you wake people up when you try to prove the globe.
Yeah. Awesome. Where can people find you, Dave? FlatEarthDave.com?
Everything. My YouTube, my TikToks, FlatEarthDave.com. Everything's there. My interviews channels, all my stuff is on the app. On the app, if you hit the web button, The first button right up here is my interviews, and all the interviews are there. All sorts of resources, books and shopping and homeschool stuff on the next page, and again, different languages. But everything can be found at flatearthdave.com, and check it out. And let's wake up the world, because the faster we wake up the world, the faster we'll deliver us from this tyranny that's going on.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic app. I've got it on my phone as well. Dave, I would like to thank you for this wonderful opportunity to speak to you, the legend, the one and only Dave Weiss, Flat Earth Dave.
I'm just a big mouth that had the courage to go out there and start talking. I'm not the best. I just have the biggest mouth. So, I see the importance of this message. So I left my entire, career to do this, because nothing's going to matter if we let the world keep going in the direction it's going. And the simplest solution to free people is to wake them up, because you can't free a mind that's in a prison, the heliocentric prison. Once you wake up from there, then you can see the rest of the deceptions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dave, and take care. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thanks. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Tell me your name.
Ruth Heath.
Ruth, and how old are you today?
102.
102. So you were born in
1918.
1918. And we were just talking, and I asked you what shape the Earth is, and what did you say? What were you taught in school in elementary school?
I was taught in school that the Earth was flat.
And then what do you remember when they changed it to a globe?
Well, when they changed it, I remember when they changed it, but I can't remember the date or anything like that.
And did you believe them?
Yes, I did.
You did?
And I'm beginning to wonder, where is God?
God's right above us in the clouds. The heavens are right here. That's all that there is. And there's not infinite space. Did you know, wait, let me ask you a question, just switching topics a little bit, that we never went to the moon, that was all fake?
Is that right?
That's correct.
I saw that all happening.
Yeah, so did I, and we all believed it, but that was just to reinforce that people to believe they can live on a ball and they could walk on a ball. Nobody's ever been to space, because space doesn't exist. There is no space. There's just this world.
Oh, it's such a lie.
It's such a lie, but knowing the lie is like going to a magic show.
I woke up.
Yes, that's what we call it. We call it red. This is your moment of waking up.
Oh.
It's when you go to see a magician and you know how the tricks are done, and the magic no longer works on you, and you're free. You follow the Bible.
Yes, I do.
And are you aware that the Bible is all about the flat Earth? That God put the earth on the footstool and separated the waters from the waters, and created the firmament. If you read Genesis, I'm not the Bible guy. I have friends that are so good at it, but there's over 200 verses in the Bible that refer to a flat Earth.
That's right.
And I think there's only one verse that mentions Earth as a circle, but just like this table right here, that table is a circle,
right,
but it's flat.
That's right.
Right. All right, Ruth, thank you.
Thank you. I'm amazed. I'm so happy to know it's true.
It's true, and God created this world.
Yes.
And He's right here in the clouds above, close, not in an infinite universe. So good, right?
I can't get over it. Made me cry.
Made me cry too.
Yeah. Thank you.